Good afternoon. My name is John McFarland. I'm the clinic manager for the CORA Ormond Beach physical therapy location. Thank you once again for joining us today here on Facebook Live. I'm basically back in an office area, so no face mask, nobody's around me, so completely socially distanced away from anybody around me. Definitely want to thank everybody for joining us once again. Today I want to go over a topic that's just kind of started in my clinic in regards to we are starting to see athletes that we were working on for upper extremity injuries, and they have actually gone back to playing their sports well before any type of actual training or any kind of practice time, and they've gone back to competitive travel ball when normally the travel ball teams have the benefit that the programs are pulling athletes from their sports because they've already completed a season or they're in the middle of their season. For example, baseball and softball. Today I'm going to kind of briefly talk about, or for the most part, talk about high school type, high school age level sports. I will kind of touch a little bit on little league sports depending on how we have time. But we can talk about how we can differentiate the distances and make the modifications for the younger kids because the same rules apply. So in the scenario that I'm looking at, and the scenario that I'm seeing for the most part, and a lot of people are asking me questions about, is we have individuals who have been sitting at home for long periods of time, baseball or softball players, who had their entire season scrapped. They were going through their preseason programming. They had already gone through all their preparation, off-season training, and they were getting into the actual training for their sport. And then for whatever reason, their season was taken away or they did not participate in their season. So what I'm looking to do is to try to help with how do we prepare athletes to get back into those sports? How do we prepare athletes for fall sports? Because here in Florida, as well as in some other states, you have spring baseball, softball, and you have fall baseball, softball. Here in the state of Florida, baseball and softball, we play 12 months out of the year. So for a lot of people who were addressing the social distancing expectations of the state of Florida and all the other states and county regulations and stuff like that, trying to help to differentiate when should a person go back to playing baseball or softball, when should they get back in their sports, and what will be some guidelines to help them with that program. So in the scenario that I have written up behind me, what I would like to talk about or what I like to present for a hypothetical situation is I'm referring to a athlete who has not just recently had surgery. They're not just coming out of a physical therapy program. Basically, it's an individual who was prepared to play baseball or softball back in February and then essentially has not done any throwing or any kind of training on a regular basis since that time. Essentially, they have sat and they did no baseball playing or throwing during the month of March. They've done no baseball throwing or playing during the month of April, and nothing in the month of May. And then all of a sudden, here now on June 1, they throw the switch of the Phase 2 programming, and then now we have travel teams that have gone right back to playing. So to try to help your son get back ready for baseball, and then also same thing with your daughters getting ready for softball. Same thing in regards to we'll change the distances. Trying to get those athletes prepared to go back to that participation to try to limit them from being injured at any point in time. Myself personally, being a certified and licensed athletic trainer here in the state of Florida, one of my domains is injury prevention. So anything that I can do that's going to help to prevent injuries from happening, I'm totally on board for. All right, so in the scenario that I have behind me, this is a general throwing program that I'd make recommendations for. I'm actually going to bring the camera a little bit closer to kind of help out so you can get a decent idea. So essentially what I have broken down here is like a phase 1 and then a phase 2. Phase 1 can last anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, okay? Each phase can last a week to 2 weeks. You as the person who are making the decisions for the athlete, whether it's your child, whether you're a coach in charge of a team, or whether you're a guardian or whomever it is you may be, big brother, big sister, making decisions for this person who's an athlete, trying to give them the right information, we can go about this in the following way. Phase 1, my recommendation, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 days a week. Whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, the days of the week doesn't matter as long as we give the athlete at least a day off in between throws and then we give them a 2-day recovery at the end of the week. Okay, so if you're going to go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then essentially Sunday, Monday becomes their weekend off. Even though it might not be a weekend off because of work or whatever else like that, it's just a weekend off from throwing in from activity, from physical activity. Now, phase one. Once again, phase one can last a week. If after the first week they go, oh man, that feels really good, I'm ready to go, we can do some more throwing. I want to expand this thing, okay? The 3 days a week throws, what we're looking to do is we're going to go 25 throws for a set, okay? The set can be anywhere from a 75 feet to a 90-foot distance. Once again, we're talking about high school age. High school baseball athletes play on a 90-foot baseball field. So we need to be able to throw 75 to 90 feet just for the very beginning of actual playing baseball. If your athlete is unable to do that, well, then we're going to have to dial that program back to a shorter distance, and then you can make the same applications on the numbers of throws based on the distance that they're able to tolerate. So in this situation here, I'm recommending 75 to 90 feet, 3 days a week, 25 throws, take a 5-minute break, and repeat that. You're going to do 2 total sets. Repeat that for at least a week to 2, all right? If after the first week they feel great, they're ready to go, phase 2, real simple, is Monday through Friday. Now we're going to throw 5 days a week. If the person basically tolerated 3 days a week and had no problems, no symptoms, shoulder feels good, good accuracy, throws on a line, everything's going great, expand the program to 5 days a week. Same thing once again. We're going to throw Monday through Friday, 25 throws per set. We're taking a 5-minute break in between the sets because we want to replicate what baseball is actually like. You don't just go out and throw all the throws at once. You're going out, a lot of times you're taking 8 throws, or you're taking 4 or 5 throws in between innings, you're getting a couple competitive throws. So you take breaks in between your throws during a competitive time. In this situation, now we've advanced to phase 2. You're going to take the 5-minute rest. We're going to repeat that for at least 2 sets. Now, from there, we're going to go into phase 3. All right, so phase 3 I have right here behind me on this side. So phase 3 is right here. Am I getting you guys? All right, right there. So phase 3, all right? Phase 3, we're going to stay once again 5 days a week. Now we're going to break it up though. From here up is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or the 3 days a week. And then the Tuesday, Thursday, or the other 2 days is a different program. Okay, now let's talk about that. Why do we make a difference here? Instead of going, what's happening here in this third phase is we're adding a third set. When we're adding a third set, we're adding more volume. Okay, we want to add volume 3 days a week to make a progression. We don't want to add three sets for all 5 days. As you start doing the numbers, it's easy to kind of start figuring out the fact when you go from throwing only 2 sets to throwing 3 sets, when you add 3 sets a day, 5 days a week, it's a significant volume increase. With throwing athletes, volume means everything in regards to building up the shoulder and versus making them and jeopardizing the shoulder and jeopardizing the elbow for having problems later on. So in this situation here, we're going to throw 25 throws, take our 5-minute break for 3 sets. But then the in-between days on Tuesdays and Thursdays in this scenario, we're going to dial it back to only doing our 2 sets. So we're throwing 5 days a week, but 3 days a week we're throwing 3 sets. 2 days of those 5 days, we're only going to throw 2 sets. So once again, that's why I try to draw it out. If you want to take screenshots, or if you want to somehow make notes, or you can easily just draw it on a calendar. All right, and that's why I try to draw the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday to draw it in this manner, because putting it on the calendar makes it really small and makes it even harder to actually read. Now let's move over to our next example. Okay, the next example here is phase 4. All right, phase 4, Monday we're going to go long toss. Now, long toss. For the baseball player or the athlete that has been participating in baseball for a long period of time, switch sides here. For the baseball player that's been playing baseball for a long period of time, they're going to talk about, when I throw a long toss, I throw really, really far, or I do this or I do that. When we haven't thrown or we haven't participated in baseball in a long period of time, then what happens is we begin to expose ourselves to muscle breakdown, if we have a distance or a volume that's more than what a person can physically tolerate at that time. Once again, we just made the modification over here on this side with accommodating the fact that we're throwing 3 sets versus 2 sets. Now with the long toss, we're going to throw a long toss early in the week, then we're going to use the rest of the week to recover. So in this scenario here, we're going to throw a long toss on Monday. Long toss in my scenario here, we're going to go 120 feet. Okay, once again, the long toss, the normal distance for baseball throwing is 90 feet. All right, and we're going to build our volume because that person has been throwing for a long period of time. Now we're going to stretch it out to 120 feet, well beyond and more so than what a catcher is going to be expected to throw. Not the full 120 feet, but by the time they get their snap through and everything they're looking to do, that's the distance that ball is actually going to carry. So in this scenario, the 120 feet, and we're going to build up to the 120 feet. All right, let me talk about that for a quick second. For the 120 feet, if you have a baseball player, the baseball player is going to be working their way out to the distance. For a high school baseball player to work the way out to 90 feet, especially in the second and third set, their body's already hot. The body's already warm. It only takes a couple throws at 60, 75 feet, whatever it is, to be right at 90 feet, and then they're ready to throw and they're ready to go. If you have the luxury of being able to throw on a baseball field, it's very easy. One person stands on a baseline, other person stands out in the middle of the field. It's very easy to line yourself up, and you can line yourself up to throw the distances. In the scenario in here, getting out to 120 feet, you want to progress along as quickly as possible, but making sure to look at the arc on the throw. Is it on a direct line? Is it a high arcing throw? Are they accurate? Okay, if they're not accurate and are high arcing throws and the ball's taking forever to get to the travel, then the person's probably not ready to throw long toss yet. They may think they are, but their body's not showing that they are. Okay, now it might just be a bad day for throwing. They might want to try long toss later on in the week. Okay, and if that's the case, you can just change the days that are in this phase 4 of the program. Now, excuse me, the rest of the week, Tuesday through Thursday, you have 90 feet for 25 throws for 3 sets, taking 5-minute rest breaks in between those sets. Once again, we're dialing ourselves back to where we were in phase 3, where we were throwing 90 feet for 3 sets, but taking the other 2 days, dialing it back to 2 sets. So here, 2 sets of 120 feet for 1 day, but then the other 4 days, so we've added a day here in phase 4. From this week here, going into phase 5 is ready to play. Once you can start throwing a long toss pain-free, and you can repeat phase 4 week after week, and you want to mix in a second long toss day like on the 4th day of the week, then you're ready to get back into playing. Once again, the goal is not to see how fast can you go from phase 1 to phase 4. The goal is to return the athlete back to throwing to try to limit them from getting hurt or limit them from having throwing setbacks. Okay. Once again, if the athlete has not been throwing for long periods of time, we want to keep those things in mind. At a later date in time, we'll get into the actual injury prevention in the fact where doing some rotator cuff exercises, using some items that are commonly found around the house that we can do for lifting and do for some training and for some throwers. But for right now, for today, I definitely wanted to try to help to give some guidelines for individuals to help with the throwing. Now, before I go, real quickly, the same exact scenario for all of the phases for, let's say, high school softball. Okay, so for my female patients out there, my female athletes that I've worked with over the years, the only difference is the distance. Okay, the distance, I believe, is a 60-foot field. So if the athlete is expected to throw 60 feet, everywhere where we've been talking about getting ready to throw 90 feet, you're going to throw 60 feet. If you can't throw 60 feet, then you need to dial yourself back to 45 to 50 feet and work your way out to 60. Once you can get out to 60, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all the numbers stay the same. You don't change anything. For pitchers, this program is totally different. We need to get into a totally different discussion. These are for general overhead throwing athletes, all of the other positions on the field to try to build up volume and to be able to build up those shoulder muscles, get everything involved and get everything nice and built back up to be ready for the season. For my little leaguers out there, moms and dads, taking care of your kids, you're going to be a coach coming up this fall, you're taking over a team, you want to try to dip your toe in the whole coaching world and you don't know what to do, don't know how to go about it, this is how you go about it. You can give the kids recommended throwing programs. You can have them throw the couple sets of 25 on the days when they're not with you. It's a really good, really easy program to follow to keep the kids' arms healthy. It lets you know where they are in the progression So then you'll be able to get them to where they need to be. If you're a Little League coach, the distance between the bases is 60 feet for the most part, all right? If you're into juniors, you're into that in the seniors level, well, then it's 90 feet, just like the high school field is. But right now for Little League I'm going to refer to as the 60-foot fields. In that situation there, same exact scenario. For them, you're not going to have as much volume, okay? You don't need to get into the 3 sets of 25. For the young kids, as long as you're getting out and keeping their arms live, having them throw 2 and 3 days a week, all this other sets and repetitions, phase 4, that kind of stuff, you very rarely ever see 7, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids throwing long toss. Kids like to do it. Kids that are highly motivated want to do it. And that's fine. Let them do it as long as you're supervising them and giving them direction on how to throw, watching their mechanics, make sure they're not hurting themselves or hurting others around them. But for the most part, make sure those little kids are getting out, having a really good time, playing their sports, enjoying themselves, and taking care of themselves. So once again, high school program is behind me. For high school softball players, change the distance expectation, but the volume remains the same. For the Little League players, obviously the distance totally has changed, where we're trying to expect ourselves to throw 60 feet. And obviously for parents and guardians of those little guys, just make sure they're getting out and playing and take care of themselves. Once again, thanks for joining me. You guys be well out there. Once again, my name is John McFarland. I work in the Ormond Beach office. Be well and stay safe. Thanks for joining us.